Wow. This was an episode that I did not expect would deliver like this. The one thing that I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those many people that have accused Disney of being completely saccharine and unrealistic with some of their characters and overly romantic when there shouldn't be. I was wrong with this. They have literally given Disney enough leeway to give this show some substance. And that is what they did here. And I have never been so happy to see an episode with so much substance than this one. My goodness. When you think about heritage, you don't really think about where you come from. I mean, unless you come from a family where either you're adopted or you're a... I thought I turned that down. But anyway, just my phone. But anyway, when it comes to knowing who you are, some people, well, sometimes you don't necessarily think about where you come from. Unless you're from a family that doesn't necessarily identify with you, whether you're adopted, whether you come from a single parent household, and you've been raised by a single parent household, sometimes you really want to know where you come from. At this point, of course, in the beginning, you want to be from someplace exotic. You want to have an amazing story. But the one thing I love about this entire episode is that Corey actually does encourage people to find their own story. And everyone did. But this was a very a very Farkle heavy episode that really broke my heart. They were really realistic about this entire episode, especially with, gosh, I can't remember his name. I think it was, not Manuel. I can't remember his name. One of their classmates actually did come from Cambodia, lived in the Philippines, and then moved to the States. His grandmother has such an amazing story and a very realistic and harsh story to where I never imagined that Disney would even allow this to even be said. And yes, of course, for those that haven't seen number one janitors top 10 Disney deaths, top 10 Disney villain Disney deaths, then you would know how harsh Disney is when it comes to the villains. But that's just in an animated state. When it comes to an actual live action show, they allowed the show to be as gripping as it could be. His grandmother told an amazing tale, a tale of survival. And I never thought that they would actually go that far and say that not all of her family members survived. That's something that floored me. But what floored me the most was Minkus. Well, I keep calling him Minkus. Farkle's story. Farkle is not exactly a Minkus. He's not a Minkus at all. He actually was an escapee from Denmark, but from the way it's sounding, you know what? I'm not going to give too much away. For those that have not seen the episode, I am not going to give away such a huge epic spoiler. I can't give that away. This is something that I want you guys to view for yourselves. But Farkle's tale of his family is something that will literally have your jaw drop to the floor. And I would never imagine Disney going that far. But I will say this. This episode actually did happen after the cookie, which means it actually happened after what happened at Ski Lodge. But the whole forgiveness thing, when he forgave, I think it was, this is actually before Girl Meets Bear, but after Ski Lodge. So their coupling was acknowledged. Riley and Lucas, their coupling was acknowledged-ish. The only thing is they still didn't act like a couple, but it looked like that Lucas was enamored by her, but Riley wasn't paying much attention. Like, Riley was just steady talking, but Lucas seemed like he was really into Riley. But then for some strange reason, you had Maya that was constantly calling out Lucas and pretty much teasing him, but I don't know. That was just kind of weird. It just seemed like she was flirting with Lucas, and Lucas just wasn't having it, while he was enamored by Riley, but Riley wasn't really having much of Lucas. But it seems like that Riley and Farkle had more of a connection than Riley and Lucas ever did. That was the one thing that kind of got me. And the whole Zay and Maya thing started to come together, but it didn't come together until Girl Meets Bear. But I think that Maya was just being nice to him at the time. This was before Girl Meets Bear, but it seemed like that Zay was actually trying to somehow get closer to Maya, even though Maya didn't really click with it at the time. But she was a steady flirting with Lucas. Lucas wasn't having her, but then Lucas was enamored by Riley, but Riley just wasn't having him either. It was weird. It was really weird. But this is mostly about Farkle. This was a really Farkle heavy episode about Farkle's life, who he is, where he came from, his own discovery. It was an amazing, well done episode. I never thought that they would actually go that route, but way to go. Thank you, Disney, for allowing them to go this route, because this is something that a lot of people want to know. Not a lot of people know exactly where they come from. And I really do feel, and it actually did inspire me a little bit to find a little bit more about my own heritage. But I really hope, and I actually do believe that this episode actually inspired people to find out where they came from and do a little research on it. Because honestly, it kind of inspired me. And even though Farkle's tale was just a jaw dropper, it was still a really great episode with a really great ending. And yeah, sure, you had a whole thing with Augie and Ava and his friend Raphael. But honestly, I didn't really care much for that. Not at all. It was mostly like the main four, or with Zay 5 episode. It would have been interesting to see if Smackle was there, but she wasn't. But other than that, I loved it. I really love this episode, guys, and I really do believe that this inspired a lot of people to find out where they came from. But I want to hear your thoughts about this. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about Girl Meets Lady of New York. Even though they technically didn't meet the Lady of New York, so I don't know why they call it that. It's not like they actually went to the Statue of Liberty. They actually just talked about her. So I don't really like the title, but other than that, this was a really well done episode, and I think they did an amazing job, and I really do want to know y'all's thoughts on this. So just let me know in the comments below. Nature Girl 30 signing off. Peace out. Later.